So we're now going to move on to one of our Business Culture Award winners. And I'm going to be joined on the main stage by Eugenio Pirri. Eugenio, how are you this afternoon?
I'm really well. Hello, everyone. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Really good. And it's a bit like Bruce said. Every time someone pops up on the stage next to me, a little part of my heart leaps for joy.
I feel the same way.
every piece of connectivity. Otherwise, I would be describing all the way through. Now, exactly. I'm just going to point out. So Eugenio is joining us from the Dorchester Collection, but he is not just leading the global people team for Dorchester and is part of their global executives. He also is an author and is also on my little bookshelf behind me. We're often at the races with business people, incredibly thoughtful business people who have the experience of leading organizations and researching and evolving their work. So what else would you share, everyone? Where do we, in terms of your work and where we find you today, Eugenio, how would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, again, thank you, everyone. So yes, I'm Eugenio Pirri. I'm the Chief People and Culture Officer at Dorchester Collection. We actually just officially came back to our offices this week. So it's really exciting. Small teams, but it's a good start in the direction. We also reopened all of our hotels last week, so we're off for the races, as they say. I'm located in Berkeley Square in Lansdowne House. So, and I'm in my little office here. So really happy to be with you guys today.
And you've been very, very vocal all the way through the close down, the lockdown of COVID-19. I mean, you look after some of the most prestigious and famous properties, hotel properties around the world. And it's just an incredible opportunity to bring them back in the way that you've chosen to bring them back. Mm. Can you just give us a bit of some understanding of what that has meant within your sector and for your colleagues across all those properties?
Sure. I mean, these have been just incredible times. I mean, you couldn't have imagined, when lockdown started. I remember that day saying, "Oh, it'll just be short-lived. We'll see you hopefully by June." And who would have thought 6 months later? And I'm sure many businesses are saying that. And the way that the whole landscape of the world has changed. I mean, obviously the travel in the world is completely dried up, for lack of a better word. And it's been really challenging for the entire hospitality sector, restaurants, leisure, tourism. We've definitely felt the pain. There's no other way to describe it. It's been deep and it's been tough. For us, we were very fortunate to be in a position where we immediately told our workforce, our employees who, we care for deeply. Many have been with us for many, many years. A third of our workforce has been with us for more than 25 years. So we protected them immediately, their jobs and their salaries, and that was, I think, an important step in the right direction. We found other ways to curb expenses and to manage the business as best as we could, so that we could ensure that we kept our people on board. And I think that's put us in a really wonderful position to reopen. I think people were excited to return, and I think there's nothing better that guests are already feeling concerned or maybe have a bit of fear about travel, but when they get to go to a place that they know and see familiar faces again that can help them cope with those anxieties or help them feel wonderful and comfortable again, I think that really helps the situation and help people continue to move forward in this new world that we live within.
And for those that don't know the sector, can you just describe the community that sits? Because I think so often people don't think very deeply. They're either there on work and it's quite transactional, or they're there on the leisure time and they're sort of their heads are perhaps in another space. But it's just describe the community that exists and the ecosystem that operates to create to create the experience of one of your properties.
Yeah, I mean, we're a really unique company. We're a very small company in that we have 9 hotels, but they're very, as you said earlier, they're quite iconic and we would say legendary hotels. We have our oldest hotel that's 187 years old in Paris. We have the Beverly Hills Hotel that was there, and the city of Beverly Hills was named after the hotel. So, they're really iconic hotels. They live within their communities. Of course, in London, we have the Dorchester and, properties like that. And they're really unique places. And wonderful things have happened in them, and it's that kind of place where you never know what's going to happen when you come through those doors. And for us, when we want people to step through our doors and feel like they're entering a bit of another world, there's, typical hotels have up to 25 different departments, but for us, it's about how do those departments come together to really deliver something special? How do we work together? How do we not have silos? And I think it's something that we've done, very well. We have very high guest loyalty, and I think it's about wanting people to have this purpose and wanting people to come there and feel something different. And we always say, we're doing a good job when we're addressing the emotional needs of our guests, not the transactional needs of the guests. Mm. Anyone can go to a hotel and check in and get a cup of coffee. It's a very different story when you come in there. We anticipate what you may want. And also we understand that you're not the same as the guest beside you. And we take the time to figure that out and hopefully provide a really unique level of service to you. It's not easy. It's a lot of training and all of that good stuff, but it's a real joy when it happens well, I think.
And that connection between your customer loyalty, your guest loyalty, and your colleague loyalty, I think is really fascinating, because you have incredible lengths of service across the...
We do. I mean, as I said, we have, I mentioned the third of the workforce over 25 years, but we have an even larger amount that have been there for more than 10 or 15 years. Although we have a lot of new people that come into our business, whether seasonally and over the different time, we're very lucky. We have very low employee turnover as well, which I think is quite rare in the hospitality industry, because we really try to have this, I call it holistic approach. I think it's one of the things that we really try to, I don't know if pioneer is the right word, but it's something that we started years ago, as you know. We first had the idea of employee engagement and guest engagement should be looked at simultaneously, because ultimately the journey is the same. Although what you do at the points of the journey may differ a little, those points of opportunity to really bring it to life are very similar on both sides. And so being able to do that, and we've done that through the course of many, many years, and it's really brought us to a place where 60% of our workforce is trained in more than 3 jobs in the hotels, and even more are able to jump in and work in different areas. There's this huge level of pride. We're in the top 5% in the world for employee engagement. Something we're quite proud of when you look at the eNet Promoter Score. But it's something that we've really had to do over many, many years, and it takes a lot of focus from the leaders. And we've realized you have to let go to go forward. And so it's not about micromanaging, it's about just inspiring people. But it's a lot of work.
And at this time that so many organizations are embracing technology in a new and out of pure necessity. Yeah. This is something that's fascinated you for a long time. I mean, perhaps just give, I know there's many examples, but the way that you've used VR, for example, within your recruitment approach.
Yeah, I mean, we are big believers in technology. We believe it's a wonderful enabler, but we definitely drew a line in the sand many years ago, saying that it would never replace the touching of the guest, from the perspective of how we interact, how we engage with them. But those tools that are out there in technology can really help you, look at things in a different way. I think one of the tools that you're talking about is our Metis tool, and it's a fantastic tool because many guests give us feedback in many different ways, but one of the biggest ways in the industry is through TripAdvisor and Booking.com reviews and things like that. It's possible to have somebody read all that. So we many years ago partnered with a company that helped develop this technology, an amazing technology that can read up to 7,000 reviews in a minute, let's say, and can identify sarcasm and humor and pick up guest names. It helps us really dive deep into what is actually the guest trying to tell us by these comments, because you could employ an army of people and never get through all of those comments because they never end. But it's quite remarkable. And what the most fascinating thing is that we were spending years concentrating on one thing, and the guest was telling us, actually, that's pretty awesome. You should really think about concentrating on this. So it really changed the way we did our business. It changed the way we allocated our resources. It changed the way we staffed. We completely dismantled departments and rebuilt them as a result. And our guest engagement scores just continue to go through the roof, to the point now that we're considered a world-class organization from that perspective through the Gallup organization. So we're quite proud of that.
So, I mean, I've started by getting into the what you lead, and the way that translates into the guest experience and the services and the culture. When you sat down to actually focus on writing this book and to reflect on your leadership experience, just talk us through some, because this is an incredibly practical read. You're asking the reader to engage all the way through, to make notes, to make reflections. To just take us through some of your leadership journey and how you distilled it into this.
Yeah, I mean, the book was something that was not planned, but at the time I really like mentoring people and talking to people, and I love seeing people reach their potential. It's my thing. And so at the time I was probably mentoring or coaching about 40 people. Actually, I remember it was 47 people at that particular time. And I just remember thinking how fascinating it was, how everyone was on a bit of a different journey, that there were similarities, but everyone was willing to take a different route. And I myself, the plan was never to go into people and culture. I didn't know what I was going to be. I thought I'd be a restaurant manager, to be honest with you, and things along those lines. At one point, I thought I'd be a financial director. So, I had many little careers, and my path was different, just like theirs was. And I think it was that fact that people were on such a different journey that made me realize that actually you need to have a bit of a plan from the perspective of the questions you need to ask yourself in order to become a person who really does know how to motivate and create the best in people. The book is not by any stretch of the imagination meant to be a guide for somebody who's been in HR for a long time, but for me, I wanted it to focus more on people that, it didn't matter what role you were in an organization. You didn't have to be a HR professional in order to create a wonderful environment for people to excel in. And so I wanted to give people the idea that everyone could be a people leader if you asked yourselves the right questions and gave yourself the right direction to go in. Because I think a lot of people genuinely have a desire, and I don't think people wake up thinking, I'm going to make my employee's life hell today. Well, I hope people don't think that, right? I think genuinely people want to do it, and then they get quite surprised when their employee is unhappy or they don't like a decision that gets made. And I often think, well, it's not necessarily about changing your decision, it's about understanding why you made the decision in the first place. And I think there's questions you can help yourself to get along to then see how it's for me, it's always been about the legacy. It's about the decision that you make today. What's somebody going to say about it a year from now or 5 years from now? Or what are they going to say when you leave the company as well, right? Because everyone makes decisions every single day. Is it a decision that's going to actually be in service of the vision and your values? Or is it just something that you had to do in that moment? And I think it's important.
And just bring us into some of the detail of that in terms of values, in terms of leadership values, and how they shape action.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this question about values, and I really enjoy talking about values because values to me are about decisions that get made. I always say that to people. So if you're going to want to align to a value, you've got to understand the behaviors around it, because that's ultimately what leads you to make the decision. So, I mean, my favorite value in the entire world is passion. And those who know me and you know me, I am very passionate about everything in my life, good, bad, and ugly at times, but I am very passionate about it. But people often mistake that passion for the guy who wants to have fun, it's quite opposite. For me, passion is about having purpose. And so, if you have purpose and you truly understand why you're doing something, and hopefully it does align to the vision of a company or how you want to, lead your own life, or how you want to be in a relationship, whatever the case may be, that purpose is so important. And if you can stay truly true to that purpose, that's going to give you the passion to keep excelling, especially when things go wrong, because things will continually go wrong. There is no perfect formula. But if you have the right passion and ultimately purpose, I think it does help. And then for me, the second thing is really about that flexible, adaptable way to do it. And to me, again, that speaks more to the value of the behaviors around how we work together or how we apply teamwork. Because again, especially if COVID has taught us anything, it is about the need to be adaptable and flexible, and knowing that the way we do business is not how we're going to do it moving forward. The way we sell or service our products and services is completely changing, and how adaptable we are to make it a financial success, because ultimately we still need to make money. And that brings me to my third most important value for me, has always been creativity. So much so that it became one of our Dorchester Collection values. It wasn't originally. We added it in about 3 years ago. Because again, creativity means that you're not an HR person, you're an operational person, that you're not a restaurant manager, you're a hotelier. Because it is really about understanding that everything we're doing is in service of making the brand better, stronger, and creating more loyalty in our guests and employees. So I think there's a combination.
I love the fact that we're, seeing into your office, because we can all read the words on the wall behind you, and it says, "Be silly, be honest, be kind."
Exactly.
And I think that's a lovely insight into you, because and what you take, what you bring to work. I have a question from the floor, Jenny.
Oh boy, okay.
So it's and the question is, it's from Deborah St. Clair Thomas, and she says, what initiatives are you using to maintain guest and employee engagement?
Yeah, again, it's a wonderful question, because I mean, this is again where that technology plays a part in how you ask questions and how you decipher that information. I think the biggest breakthrough we had was many years ago when we were using various tools to measure employee and guest engagement, and finally we sat down with the information and we placed our 5 values at the core of it, and then we looked at the questions that were being answered on both sides and how they aligned based on the values. So guest engagement questions, as far as how was your stay, how are employees treating you, et cetera, to employee questions such as how was your work experience, how are we treating you? Well, they both speak to a value, and then bringing those together, and then so that's how the alignment came together. And that's a really simple example, but the key thing to do that was, okay, this is what we're asking the guests, this is what we're wanting from the employees. Bringing that together through how the behaviors are then represented through our values allowed us then to ensure that that came into our training programs, and that came into our language that we speak, that came into our policies and procedures, our service standards, whatever the case may be. So it's really important to find that link. And we use, Gallup on one side and Peakon on the other, and it's not about having to use the same technology provider or product or service, but it is about ensuring that you have to know what the foundation of what you want your company to be, and then link all of your things to that. And I think that's the best way you can bring it forward. I hope that answered that, Deborah.
Thank you. It really does. Jenny, unsurprisingly, we are out of time.
Oh my God, that was so quick. My God. Let's just go on. Come on. Whoever's next, don't worry.
That's right.
Well,
thank you so much for giving up your time. Really appreciate it. Congratulations on the award, and here's to the continued success of you, the team, and the organisation. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye. Good luck, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.